Matt Rhule just wrapped up a loaded press conference. He revealed a bunch of big-time information. In particular, one of the best players for Nebraska will be out this Saturday versus Michigan State. We'll talk about who he is, who needs to step up in his absence, what this means for the Huskers going forward, and so much more, along with some clarity at the running back position, what's been going on in practice, our huge concern with the offensive line, what we need to do versus the Spartans in order to get the bounce-back victory, and then a couple other bits of news that has dropped today. The Raiola HEISMAN hype has been shooting through the roof. A potential brand new offensive line coach candidate. We'll talk about him, my reaction to all the Big Ten games this past weekend, and Tony White's performance, and so much more. So really quick, this video is packed with info. Hey, if you're having a good Monday, because I know I am, hit that like button. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for daily content, talking to your favorite team, talking Huskers? It's no brainer, takes 2 seconds. This is the only place on YouTube that posts daily content, talking Nebraska. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. I want to first get into Matt Rhule's press conference because he discussed a bunch of big time information. We'll get to all of the rest of the info later down the line. But right off the bat, Matt Rhule ripped off the Band-Aid and disclosed that one of Nebraska's best players on defense, Malcolm Hartzog, will likely miss his 3rd consecutive game this Saturday versus Michigan State. And this is quickly becoming a huge issue for the Big Red. Now, right off the bat, Malcolm Hartzog, he's dealing with a lingering hamstring. He was supposed to play versus Michigan. All signs pointed him suiting up, but the 2 days before that game happened, he made it worse. He re-aggravated his injury, and for that reason, not only was he out versus Michigan, but he's out now versus Michigan State, and he's likely going to be out versus Maryland. So we have a predicament on our hands. You can do basically one of 3 things. You can force him back right now, and let's say he plays versus Michigan State, which he's not. Let's say he plays versus Maryland. He's likely not going to be 100%. He's probably going to be 60%, 70%. And it's going to be like a Tommy Hill situation where we tried to force Tommy Hill to come back, and he was a liability on the field because he was dealing with an injury very similar. So it's either you force Hartzog back, he's not the same player and he's a liability. Number 2, you shut him down until November and hope that he's 100%, going into maybe the USC game, which is my preferred instinct. Or here's the 3rd scenario. At this point, Hartzog, you might as well just redshirt him. He's only played in 2 games this season. He doesn't have any years of eligibility left. If you redshirt him, because he hasn't been redshirted yet, he could come back next year. It's just really not doing him any justice if he only plays, 5 or 6 games this year and goes undrafted. So those are really our 3 options. It's unfortunate that we're dealing with this. Again, this lingering issue with the hamstring is probably not going to go away by the time we get to the end of the year. So in my opinion, we should probably shut him down and redshirt him, or just shut him down at least till November and see if he can be 100% going into USC. But I mean, talking about what this means for the entire secondary, particularly against Michigan State, I mean, it's definitely a blow. I'll go over my Michigan State preview tomorrow. They have a really, really talented receiver core, and they got a talented quarterback. So we need all hands on deck to slow that down. But with that being said, there's a reason why Nebraska right now has the #1 ranked secondary in America. It's not only because we're super talented with our starters, but we have a bunch of really good depth pieces, whether that's a Jameer Khan, a Donnie Jones, a Larry Tarver, a Mario Buford, and Amari Sanders, a Jeremiah Charles. You just go down the list, a Rex Guthrie. Okay, we got some really good players in the 2nd string unit who are going to step up and play well in his absence. But again, this is becoming a pretty bad situation with Malcolm Hartzog. Then Matt Rhule was asked about who our running back 2 is going to be going into the game versus Michigan State. I have a video coming out about that later down the line this week, but he said he's not going to reveal who that player is going to be. He knows, he has an idea of who it is. They're going to, of course, save it until Saturday, until kickoff, obviously for game playing purposes. But it was clear there was one running back, too, who had a great week of practice, not only this week, but last week. Pretty much it's either going to be Quinn Ives or Mekhi Nelson. I'm hoping it's Quinn Ives because we really haven't seen as much of him this year. And when he has played, when he has got reps, he's looked really good. He's been that power back. He's not fast. He's not super dynamic, but he's a smart running back. And when you need 2, 3, 4 yards, right, just to shoot through that A-gap and be powerful, that's what you can get with Quinn. I don't really know if you can get that with Mekhi from what we've seen his struggles so far this year. Matt Rhule was also asked about the offensive line. He said, how much are you worried about this unit going into the rest of the season? And he said he believes the offensive line is still a great group. He's not worried about it at all. And he said, of course, they played bad versus Michigan. They gave up 49 pressures. They gave up 7 total sacks. They couldn't create a lane the running game. Like, absolutely, the offensive line played bad. But he kind of reiterated something I've been telling you guys. I'm very confident about this offensive line. Okay, it's particularly from an interior standpoint. We have the talent. We are a good, not great offensive line. We can't compete against the best of the best. Maybe a Penn State, Michigan. And yeah, that's disappointing. But when we play against the Michigan States, the Northwesterns, the UCLAs of the world, we're absolutely going to dominate them. And that was seen in the first 3 games of the season for Nebraska. I mean, we gave up 0 sacks against Cincinnati. That's one of the best defensive lines in the country. So that says a lot. But Matt Earl, not worried about the offensive line. You shouldn't either. And then last but not least, he ended his press conference giving a lot of hype to Williams Nwaneri. He said that constantly Williams is getting better, that he's going to be in the mix to start this week, that he's trying to be an every down type of defensive lineman. And really, I'm hoping Williams can continue to break out. He's been great in the pass rush. He's really the only player who can get to the quarterback consistently, not named Asamakola. The only issue, however, with Williams is he's not good in the running game. Okay, he's kind of like a James Williams 2.0. He's a better version of James Williams, but similar to James, he's a 3rd down pass rusher right now. If you put Williams in the ballgame on a 1st down, he's going to get ran through. You saw that versus Michigan. They were running right at him because he can't set the edge. So obviously, Matt Rhule's giving him a lot of high praise. He's getting better every single day. But really, I'm not worried about him from a pass rush standpoint. He needs to get better in the running game because it really wasn't that good versus Michigan. But he's the X factor with this entire unit. All right, that was Matt Rhule's press conference. Now let's get into everything else. Potential offensive line coach, my reaction to all the Big Ten games, Dylan Raiola, the Heisman hype. Now, of course, wanted to start off with this. We'll get to this in a second. It was announced that Nebraska will play Maryland next week at 2:30 Central. Now, the reason why this is important is because this game is not on Peacock. It will be on Big Ten Network. Basically, this means that when we play Northwestern, that game will likely be on Peacock, probably 2:30 or an 11 a.m. kickoff. So just watch out for that. But we are playing Maryland at 2:30 next week. And then I want to get into this bit of news. Sam Pittman was fired by Arkansas just 2 days ago, it was yesterday. And the reason why this is important for Nebraska in particular, Sam Pittman has a background of being not only a consistent offensive line coach, but one of the best offensive line coaches in America. He's been doing this for about 20 years. Most recently, before at Arkansas, he was at Georgia, making one of the best offensive lines in America before they really started their decade of dominance. Sam Pittman's going to be one of the highest paid offensive line coaches ever next year. Nebraska may get in that sweepstakes. I've got a lot of comments already, a lot of people emailing me, texting me, hey, we should be interested in Sam Pittman because his offensive line is a question mark. Now, if I'm Nebraska, absolutely I would try to get him on the coaching staff in one way or another. However, is it a reality? Is it likely? Probably not. We will not fire Donovan Raiola. I've said that for a while, just simply because if you fire Donovan Raiola, for better or worse, Dylan will leave. And the whole Raiola family will get pretty much very frustrated at Matt Rhule very quickly. Okay, the Raiola family has a lot of ties. They have a lot of power. So it's not a great scenario to be in. But really, the only reason why Dylan came here in general was because Donnie was on the coaching staff. So if you get rid of Donnie, if you fire him for Sam Pittman, unfortunately, Dylan will probably leave too. Because again, that's personal. That's a personal bond that he has with Donnie. Okay, that's family right there. You know how how important family is to the Raiolas, to Dylan specifically. So, I know Sam Pittman's going to be a big time name, but unfortunately, I don't think he will be at Nebraska. And then the reason why that was important, though, in my opinion, is whenever a coach gets fired, we have to look at the commits for that school because they're likely going to be decommitting very soon, particularly, in the class of 26. But I'm looking at guys like, Colton Yarbrough, who's a 4-star edge rusher coming out of Oklahoma, big-time name, bunch of big-time offers. Nebraska, we need all the help we can get on the defense side of the football. Why not go contact him, right? You got Adam Austin, who's almost a 4-star safety, right? You got a bunch of really good players in this recruiting class. Nebraska would not be shocked if they try to flip a couple of these guys, and already a couple of them have already decommitted as well. Then I wanted to give you guys my reaction to the Florida State game last Friday. We were actually live reacting to this on our live stream, but of course, Tony White, James Williams, Evan Cooper, Terrence Nyan, Stephon Thompson, all the boys who were previously in Nebraska rolled up to Virginia and allowed the Cavaliers to put 46 on their head in a big upset victory. And this is my thing about Tony White, because I know there's a lot of comparisons. People were freaking out when Florida State beat Alabama and saying, oh, we need Tony White back. And this is coming from the biggest Tony White truther. I've told you guys that when Tony White left, that was a big loss. He's a really good coordinator. But with that being said, this is what Tony White does. There are going to be games where Tony White is lights out, the game plan is phenomenal, and they gave up 10 points, 7 points, 3 points, and it's a great day. Okay, we saw that last year when we played Ohio State. We had a great game plan versus Ohio State or Iowa or Colorado. But very similarly, he's inconsistent. So he'll have a great performance, and the very next week, he'll give up 56 to Indiana. Or he'll lay a complete egg versus UCLA, one of the worst teams in the country. Or in this instance, he'll give up 46 to Virginia. So Tony White's a good coordinator, but for whatever reason, these inconsistencies happen. So that's why I'm not freaking out that he's no longer here. You're hoping that John Butler might not be as high ceiling as a coordinator. He might not be a future head coach, but I'm just hoping he can be more consistent every given Saturday. And as for our friend James Williams, he didn't do very much versus Florida State. Again, I'm not going to give him a hard time. It is what it is. I still think he's a really good pass rusher. But here's the thing about James Williams: they're trying to give us the portrayal that he's some elite defensive lineman. He's not. He's just a pass rusher. He's just somebody who gets 10 snaps a game. The fact that Florida State fans try to convince us that James Williams is a future All-American, first-round NFL draft pick, it's ludicrous. We know what he is. He's a good third down guy. But if he's on a first down and he's in the running game, he's going to get dominated because he can't set an edge, and he's not physical. So I'm not shocking me that James Williams had a bad day, but Florida State fans are completely flipping out on him. Then I want to share this with you. This was posted by Polymarket, which is a betting site. Dylan Raiola overnight has rose through the rankings to be one of the Heisman favorites. He shot up 35 percentage points. So this is probably like a little bit of a glitch. I'm sure Dylan Raiola is shooting up through the rankings. Now, is he? I think they say he's the favorite. They say he's the favorite right now in the Heisman race. I don't think that's the case, but again, Dylan probably right now is in the top 10. Statistically, what he's done in the field, and also the Heisman race, it's pretty much wide open. I mean, you got Dante Moore in there, you got Fernando Mendoza, you got Trinidad, who's the quarterback at Ole Miss. But this is about as open as a Heisman battle we've seen in a very long time. So if there was any year for Dylan to kind of sneak up there and win it, it would be this year, kind of similar to what Crouch did in 2001. So again, is Dylan actually the favorite? I mean, probably not. This is probably a glitch in the system. But again, says a lot. Says that Dylan's playing very well, and I'm just hoping he can be top 5. At best, I'm hoping he can get an invite to New York City. Is he going to win it? No, I don't want to expect that from him. Next year is the Heisman year if everything goes right. But if he can get an invite to New York City, that tells me he's going to be an elite quarterback next year. And then I wanted to share this with you. Oh, let's see if it loads. Here it is. Brandon Sorsby, the quarterback we played versus Cincinnati, is rated as the #1 quarterback in America according to Pro Football Focus. This is actually a different graphic. This is the wrong graphic. This is he was the player of the week according to the Big 12, but it was also posted by Pro Football Focus that he's the #1 rated quarterback. So again, I'll give respect to Sorsby. Again, he's a great player. That offense in general, phenomenal right now. Cincinnati, they put up 37 points on Kansas. I'm still of the belief that Cincinnati's still going to be a 6 or 7 win team. They have a tough game this week versus Iowa State. I believe they're going to lose against the Cyclones, but still want to give respect there. I'm probably going to be wrong. Let's be real. Cincinnati probably wins 7 or 8, and it's going to be probably a better win for Nebraska than what we were thinking at the time. And then last but not least, wanted to give you guys my reaction to all the Big Ten games this week because honestly, there was a lot of shaking of up, but it didn't really help Nebraska. Any of these results, really, none of them helped Nebraska. You look at Penn State. They lost to Oregon. Obviously, we all were watching that football game, very close one. They struggled a lot on offense. Drew Allar's not the guy we thought he was going to be. Really, Penn State couldn't run the football at all. Nick Singleton had poor performance. Katron Allen struggled. The reason why I think this is meaningful for Nebraska is Penn State's not the team that we thought they were going to be in regards to potentially undefeated when we play them in Happy Valley. You go to the rest of these games, okay? Iowa lost to Indiana. And granted, that was a closer game than what many people are giving credit for, but they still lost. We saw that USC, who's our next big team on the schedule, lost to Illinois. This means that USC will not be ranked when we play them in November. Their next 2 games are Notre Dame and Michigan before they play us. They're probably going to lose both of those. So the reason why this is important, it's a double-edged sword. One, it means our schedule is easier than what we thought. That's a great thing. That's a great thing. It means USC is a lot easier than we initially anticipated. It means, Penn State will be easier. Iowa will be easier. That's awesome. And UCLA also lost to Northwestern. That should be an easy victory. But here's the caveat. I still believe there are a very few of us, but I still believe this in my heart of hearts that Nebraska could make the playoffs if everything goes right at potentially 10-2. The fact of the matter is Nebraska does not have a good enough schedule right now to make the playoffs at 10-2. We need to basically go 11-1 to make the playoffs because in this scenario, USC is not going to be ranked when we play them. We will probably only play one more ranked team this year against Penn State. And we're probably still going to lose to Penn State. Let's be real. But let's say we win out. Besides that, we go 10-2. We make a great run. We will not make the playoffs. You cannot make the playoffs if you have 0 ranked victories. Indiana barely made the playoffs last year at 11-1, and they didn't play anybody. So what do you think they're going to do with Nebraska at 10-2? So I understand that I'm going to get comments about, people are going to say, well, Wilson, all I care about is making a good bowl game and making progress. That's a good mindset to have. But I will say this, if we're 10-2, I'm going to feel very cheated if we don't make the playoffs because we can't control who we play. But I think it just adds on to the impact that, okay, we just need to win out. All these games matter. If we still want to make the playoffs, if we still want to take that big jump, you cannot drop a single game. And you're hoping that you're hoping that you're 9-1 going into that Penn State game. Hopefully you can knock them off. And then that's going to lead to potentially making the playoffs. But if we lose to Penn State, it's not looking good, because I don't think we can make it at 10-2 with our horrific schedule, because the committee, they're just not going to listen. We know how it is. They're going to find a way to keep us out. So just wanted to report on that. But as for the teams that we are playing going forward, it's a lot easier. So that's good news as well. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below about everything. Hey, if you're having a good day, because I know I am, hit that like button, subscribe for more. Go be grad, go Mount Roll, and I'll see you in the next one.